We're rolling. We're rolling, sis.
We are rolling. Oh my gosh. I literally can't even believe we're here. So
I can't either.
here's our podcast.
Yeah.
We have a lot to say.
I'm so dead.
I can't even believe it. Give her the mic is live, episode 1.
Yeah.
And let's kind of just give them the scoop on who we are and why we're doing this. You want to go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, I will. Everybody. This is crazy. We're so excited to be here. We never thought that, number one, that we would be sitting next to each other.
No.
Again, in our lifetimes. But we definitely never thought that we'd be doing a podcast. And my name is Kristen Phillips. I am a 42-year-old woman, very proud to be 42 for sure. I feel like I'm probably about 29 most days of the week.
Definitely. Yeah. Way cooler than me, for sure.
Well, you better stop it right now. I am not. I'm definitely a type B person. Have some type A tendencies for sure. I've got 2 teenage boys. They're 15 and 17. They are my entire world. They're wonderful.
So sweet. They're so sweet, man.
They're really good. They're also a nurse.
Sure are.
I've been a nurse for almost 13 years. It's a wild time.
I worked with you for a bit. That was fun.
She did. We worked together.
Yep.
It was actually like really, and we worked night shift together, which was a good time. It was a lot of fun for a long time. I also do a company called Sensi. I've been doing that for about 11 years now, I think, 12 years, which is crazy. I'm a very creative person. I love to, if I'm not creating, I'm usually just dying inside, to be honest. But
yeah, same.
Yeah, I'm an empath for sure. There's a lot of things you guys are going to learn about us over the next little bit, but that's just a little bit about me. Chloe, tell me. I love you so much.
So many versions of Chloe. This is a good version. I like this version that I'm in right now. So, like how I am as a person, and I love to be creative. I also have 2 kids, different age gap, 10 and 5,
Sweet
which I love that for us because it's like I get to watch all the seasons you've been through with your boys and get advice. But we are both creative and we have a lot in common.
We both love fashion.
Literally, both love fashion.
Absolutely love fashion.
I used to be a nurse and do Sensi as well. So it's just been, our friendship was really organic and I can't wait to like get into that. But I really love real stories. And I feel like with the podcast, and I know we'll talk about that, throughout this episode, it really feels right to be doing this. And, we've been through so much.
Yeah, that's for damn
From
sure.
us being best friends for 5 years and then not talking for 5 years. Yeah. And that's 10 years, 11 now, because we've been talking again for a year, which is amazing.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Back together.
Thank God.
Back together.
The duo is back.
But the gap is like super important.
We got to talk about the gap.
We're gonna talk about the gap and
for sure.
Like kind of how our friendship started, and like it started because of Sensi.
It did.
Remember when we met up at that coffee shop? It was like in Winterville.
What was it called? The Coffee Bean?
Something, the Coffee and the Bean. We should totally
Biscuit
know.
and the Bean.
I was about to say that
Biscuit and the
Bean.
Is
so embarrassing.
They had the best sweet potato biscuits, and it was like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich on there. It was to die for. Yeah, that's where we met the first time.
That's where we met. Yep. I probably had a freaking notebook. I probably had like supplies.
She did. You had a notebook for sure. You had supplies, and I remember that. My phone was because most of my life, I've been a people pleaser. Thank God these days I'm not anymore. But I always felt like I had to respond to people quickly. I was always on their time, not mine. And when I met her, I remember my phone was blowing up 24/7 because I was building this business with Sensi, which was so awesome because that's essentially why we sat down and talked. A friend of ours, she knew Chloe and she saw her and she was like, you have got to meet this girl. You guys are so much alike. You're literally so much alike. And thank God we are in so many ways. And we're different in so many ways too, which I enjoy too. And I think that's really what good friendship calls for because everyone's going to have strengths and weaknesses, but that's when you can pick each other up,
Yeah. And I think what I love the most about you, because, in this podcast, we're going to be talking about like organic, like relationships and friendships and tough things and trials and all the things. But with us, it felt so natural. And I remember when we met, it's almost like when you meet your life partner, which I know you're still looking for. He's out there. God has him for you. But it's like when you meet your partner and you just know. And I felt like that first day that we met because of our business, but we just talked for hours in there. I feel like we were in there for 3 hours. And so it was just like so cool because it fit. It was like this puzzle piece because I was 22 when we met.
Yeah.
And I just remember like, because Brody, my oldest, was like 2.5 at that time. And I remember when you came, you walked in my house and you were like, I knew I was going to love you because I walked in your house. This was after like the coffee shop, maybe even the same day or day after.
Maybe I came right over. That's, that is how it is when you find like the love of your life. You never want to leave them. And that's how it was with you. When I met you, it just felt so right. And that's how I am when she leaves now for like a week on business. I'm like, my leg is gone. Where are you? Come home. But yeah, tell the story about that because it's so good.
Literally, like one day, Kristen walks into my house. It was in the morning. We were about to probably do something for our business because we were like building.
Yeah.
And she walks in. My son was like 2.5 at the time. And
in a diaper. Definitely a wet diaper. It was like hanging down. You know, when a baby's, it was like.
He had some kind of granola bar. And you walk in and I was like, I'm sorry. This is my life. I'll be ready in a minute. And you were like, oh my gosh, like I'm the same exact
you're
way.
My people. No, there was granola bar on the floor. He had smeared it everywhere and he was like stomping on it. And I was like, these are my kind of people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not perfect. I've never been a perfect mom. I will never be a perfect mom. And what people don't realize is that there's no rule book when it comes to parenting. They don't give you like a guideline. Like they don't hand you a book when you bring a baby home from the hospital.
No.
And every kid is different. So like, I just really enjoyed the way that she parents, and I still do, because you're very like, you love your kids and you're so in tune with them, but you're also laid back in the right kind of ways, which is the way that I am too. And I think that kids really need those things, you know?
Which is totally not my natural, how I grew up. So I can't wait. I cannot wait for us to get into family stuff because it really shapes the way that we are and don't want to be and do things we do want to take from that.
100%.
But the natural, no. I grew up in like super chaotic environment. And so let's kind of tell them now, like moving on.
What inspired the podcast?
Our little note cards, because we're just, we're prepared. We practice. We did. We know what we're doing. We have no idea what we're doing.
I don't think you're supposed to know what you're doing when you start something new.
No, but I feel like we felt it, right? So maybe we can tell them a little bit about like what really struck the podcast to actually come to life, because I felt like it was very quick. We like created the business in a day.
In 30 seconds.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we literally did. We have been through so much in our lives, personally, with our families, with our relationships, with so many things. And we've been through a lot of hard. Yeah. And to me, my vision for this podcast and really why we want to do it. And also I know Chloe feels the same. Like we want people to stop in their tracks and be like, what she's talking about, I can relate to. And maybe I didn't even realize that was abuse or that was trauma or that was something that I can justify being hard.
Yeah.
And I think that we just want people to maybe not have to go through so much hard, Yeah. And that's the point of all of this. But that's, clearly I can't get my shit together. So Chloe, maybe take it from there. Like what do you envision from us doing this? Because I know like this is also not easy either. Like talking about things. We're going to talk about a lot of things that people don't talk about. And we're going to bring up things from our past that we probably haven't even talked about, because once you start talking about stuff, other things will pop into your head and you'll talk about, this is not easy, but why would you want to put yourself out there in this way and like truly do this?
Yeah. And,
thank God we got tissues. That's all I'm saying.
I hope
y'all do too.
When our relationship fell apart, from 2020 to 2024.
Yeah.
When we stopped talking, going from being with, somebody that was so close to you every day to then not having that, it almost was like once we got that back, I knew there's no chances we can take for granted. Like we cannot go back there And also, I was thinking, how can we help women that really have never seen anything like this before, what we've done and what we've reconciled. And so with being in a leadership position in our company and us dealing predominantly with women, I feel like for me, my heart is for the woman. Like my heart is for God being able to unlock her purpose. And there's been so much in both of our lives that we have been made to feel small or insignificant, or that we don't have a story, AKA, right, a testimony, because as believers, which we both are, you know, that relationship with God and that testimony is how women get saved and people come to Jesus. And that is what unlocks me and helps me feel like I'm in my purpose when I am helping women, but I can't do it alone. And so that's why when we started talking about the podcast, which we've always, even before we stopped talking, which we'll get into that, y'all. It sounds confusing, but when we were, you know, first became friends, like we had always talked about a podcast. You had always talked about a book. We had always, you know, I think that's why we love Scentsy so much, is because we can help women feel seen and heard because we did not. And now that we have tools with that 4-5 year separation of us not speaking, now we could come together, and I felt like it just fit. Like I was like, it's perfect. So
yeah. And I think it's so important. One thing I know that we really want to focus on during this podcast is how important reconciliation is. And in relationships, you know, with your family, loved ones, friendships, coworkers, because when you have things that aren't reconciled, number one, your body's not okay. Like you can feel it. Your body knows and it can feel it. And you're not getting, like why would you just not reconcile? So we really do want to talk about that a lot.
And really like too, you know, stories of healing, stories of, I mean, really deep stuff we're going to get into. But, you know, when I look at our friendship and what we have, I know it is very unique. And I also know that God has the perfect pair, I believe, in a friendship, like he has the perfect partner for us.
100%.
And I would love for us to help women discover that, because it is very different being in a marriage as opposed to having a best friend, right? And I believe that both are significantly important. And as you know, seeing pictures of what I looked like 4 years ago, my health drastically declined. When we stopped being friends, when I didn't have that peace. And I just wanted to emphasize that if there's anybody who is watching this that is married, that, you know, you can't just depend on your husband or your wife, etc., to fill that different kind of space. And I think 100%. When I missed that, I was like, it was a big part of my downfall personally, because I didn't have somebody to have that girl talk or confinement in, or, you know, those kinds of things. And so I'm excited for their voices to be heard and for us to kind of see where it goes. And I guess we can kind of tell them, like, what do we want them to take from it? Like what, because there's going to be lots of stuff we talk about, but
tons.
Like, what would you want to take away from it? Like, if you were listening, what would you want?
When I was hearing you talk, one thing I was thinking about is like looking at you now and looking at me now versus how we were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. We just have so much joy. And I think that a lot of people are missing joy in their lives. And I think that that has to start with truly caring and loving yourself and like giving yourself what you need as a person. And I really would love for people in general, women, whoever honestly listens to this podcast, we love men too. We love all the people. But the thing is, like, we want people to have joy in their lives. Happiness is great. Happiness, I think, is a temporary thing sometimes, but joy is something that will carry you through. So, and we've found a lot of the joy, obviously, through healing, reconnecting, reconciliation, so many things that we're going to go into and talk about. But that's something that I would love, that joy, and definitely finding your voice even when your hands shake, even when you feel like your mouth is going to quiver, because normally it does when you say things that are hard at first, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
But just knowing how to have conversations, there's a lot. I can't wait. There's a
Yeah.
lot. There's so many things.
Yeah, and I feel like too, you know, when we first met, it was 2014 when we met, we were so focused on, because I know I can speak for you as well, like we were so unhealed
Oh, yeah.
from our childhood,
Oh, yeah.
teenage years and young adulthood, that we were so, let's make each other successful, because if we're successful, then we're gonna be okay. Then our
Yeah.
parents are gonna finally say like we're good enough,
Yeah.
or you know, we're gonna get that fulfillment, we're gonna get that joy. And it's been such a deep dive too, you know, with our relationship with God that me and you have talked about a lot, you know, changing from religion to relationship.
Yeah.
When you look at our lives now, the relationship that we have with God as opposed to where our friendship started,
Yeah.
that also is so needed to find that joy and to tap into where God needs you to be. Because for me, I've tried so hard my whole life to just be great. And I remember a couple years ago looking at my husband and just going, I don't want to be great anymore. I don't want to feel like I got to be great.
Yeah.
I want to be where God needs me to be. And it's not always going to freaking feel great. Right. And so I had to switch my mindset to like, yeah, this is really hard. Yeah, this sucks not having my best friend now at these business events, and just all these things that our viewers don't realize was going on when we weren't talking like that. It really made me realize, again, once we reconciled by the grace of God,
Literally.
I was like, I'm not going to take anything for granted. Like, I'm not going to not, you know, take opportunities to really help her be the best version of herself and not project or react, or because that's what happens too when you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it's your partner or best friend. You start to react to them differently, or you'll project things on them. And in the beginning of our friendship, I did a lot of that, and then you did a lot of that too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the growth
yeah.
now, like from us being
We're
in our
completely
20s,
different
and
humans.
like, I mean, I was 22 and you were
Oh my
30.
gosh, y'all! I was the most. So I've always been an empath. Always been a very emotional person.
Which
you
is-
know that.
which
Look
is-
at me! I just cried like 2 seconds ago.
so
But I
great.
love that part of myself. I love it. But I've also learned through healing how to control it. And I had a lot of triggers. I had so many triggers. And so I would become overly emotional. And she's very, you know, she's a Leo. And I love that about her. And I love that she's fiery, because I wouldn't fuck with her if she wasn't.
Yeah.
But back then, I was clearly not, you know, healed emotionally. And she would say something to me, and my feelings would get so hurt. And I would become this little like puppy dog. It was like, looking back at it now, I'm just like,
No, but also let me say this, because all the therapy I've been in, all the things I've been in, I was dismissing you though. That was a coping mechanism for me back then. Like, just shut up and get over it. Yeah. Just shut up and work.
yeah.
Which was my unhealthy way of coping.
Yeah.
But I had no tools. And I also knew, like, if she gets stuck in that mindset, she's going to fail. And I don't want her to fail. But now
Yeah.
looking back, it's like, I would move so differently now. I would look at you and be like, hey, are you
Yeah.
how are you good? Like,
Yeah.
how are you feeling right now?
Yeah.
You know, instead of like dismissing, and you were dismissed a lot of your life.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
that trigger
100%.
though was
100%.
significant,
Yeah.
because I was dismissing you.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And so
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
back on those kinds of things from when we were building our business before, it's like, now we've built the business. Now we've done that task. We've checked it off. And it's like, for me, I am very much a checklist person, very much.
Thank God.
It's a blessing and a curse. And
It
so
is.
it really like evens us out really well.
It does.
Like
the healed versions of us need each other in that
Oh, yeah.
way.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm very go with the flow, very like, you know, I was raised by hippies, very like flower child, very just like spontaneous things like, not, but you're spontaneous too, but she's such a planner, you know? And I'm like, where are we going? I'll show up with my bag. But now our personalities and the way that we are, because thank God she's so type A, and she's like, let's do this. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. I didn't
Yeah.
think about that. You know, these days, because thank God we went through what we did, and we fixed a lot of things that unfortunately were not broken by us, but we mended them through
Yeah.
God, you know?
Yeah.
And now we can be the best versions of, and that's the thing people don't realize. If you're not healed, if you still have things to work on, if triggers still really, really trigger you, you can't have healthy relationships.
No, and
They will not work.
100%.
You cannot.
And I feel like too, so many times in my career, whether it be in my direct sales business or as a nurse, like I always felt like I was too much. And then I also was always told I'm not vulnerable enough. And so this is way out of my comfort zone. You know what I mean? Like doing this podcast because, I'm a vault and you are too.
I am too.
And
I am too. Nobody knows any of the things.
We're
but
really freaking putting ourselves.
we really are. But I'm really proud of us for doing that because it takes a lot. People are going to be upset. And you know what? Those are not the people that some people are not going to like this. And some people are going to be hurt. But the thing is here, and I've said this millions times to you over the past couple of weeks, like we're here to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And we're here to tell stories because stories are what change people.
Yeah.
And it's going to be hard, but it's also going to be so beautiful. And I'm here for all of it. So
I can't wait. Okay.
I'm so excited.
So we're going to wrap up because we have a lot to talk about in our other episodes.
Yeah.
But do you want to tell them where to find us?
Yes, I would love to. So we are definitely going to be on Instagram. Our name is Give Her the Mic. And
TikTok,
Spotify, YouTube,
Apple Music, all
Apple
the things.
Music. We're going to be everywhere. I'm already tired, but I love it for us. So
Thank God we have somebody producing this podcast and uploading it. Can you imagine?
Espresso.
It'd be like on a freaking iPhone. It would be like propped on an iPhone, smudgy.
Yeah,
like wouldn't be
literally.
able to see us.
Yeah,
like,
no.
and so
I would have
that's
probably wrote that on the background with like a magic marker or
Oh
something.
yeah, literally the
for
logo.
sure.
Like Hunter Harrison is king.
Yeah, he's
so
fantastic. We love him.
There's him.
And
So,
shout out to Josh for having this beautiful space for us. 'Cause-
literally,
Yeah.
beautiful space,
Yeah.
beautiful logo,
Yeah.
and we're the talent. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding. I'm not
anywho.
kidding.
All
I'm not
right.
kidding. But yeah, we will see you guys
on the next episode.
next week.
And we're super excited because we're going to be talking about a lot of, let's see, what are we going to talk about?
We about to go
next
deep
week?
real quick.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a tough one, but we're going to get through it. So we hope you guys will be there.
All right, queens. See you later.
See ya.